And I am the Executive Director of Mass Equality. And today, let me hear you! Thank you. Today, the highest court in our land opened the door for marriage to return to California and struck down Section 3 of the Defense of Marriage Act. Was clear. The days when the government can relegate our love, our relationships, our families, and the commitment we make to each other to second-class status are numbered. I don't know how many of you were following social media all day like I was. It's my job too. I'm lucky. When Edie Windsor was asked today why she brought the DOMA lawsuit, she said, "I sued the United States because I love Thea." And I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it? The fight for marriage equality is not only about rights and protections, although those are certainly important. It's about fairness and dignity and the most core aspects of our basic humanity. And today, some of that was recognized. Here in Massachusetts, we have celebrated marriage equality for 9 wonderful years. That's right. And you should be proud, because you all made it happen. Massachusetts, we know that families are healthier and communities are stronger when everyone is treated equally and with dignity. Right now, we are standing at the site where the first legal applications were filed in the entire United States. Right? Let's hear it for Cambridge. Many years ago, there were conversations had where people did not think that this day was possible. But here we are. And tonight you're going to hear from some of the folks who made it happen. But there are many, many, many folks, you all, who made it happen. And unfortunately, you can't all speak tonight. But you should all be giving yourselves a round of applause. Just recognize some of the elected officials that I know are with us, and if I don't call you out, it's because I don't know you're here, so let someone know to let me know that you're here. The first openly lesbian governor's counselor, Eileen Duff, is with us. There you are. There she is. Cambridge Mayor Henrietta Davis. Vice Mayor Denise Simmons. Now, as you can question, we may be professional organizers, but this was not an easy event to organize because we had no idea when this decision was coming down. We had no idea if this was going to be a vigil or a celebration, no clue. And I have to give a shout out to the City of Cambridge for really working with us when we called them every day saying, I think it's going to be tomorrow, actually, and really trying to figure out how they could accommodate us. So I want to welcome the mayor up to say a few remarks and get us kicked off.
Hey, this box is a great idea. We all need a leg up. It's great to have an extra box to stand on. Mostly, I just want to say, I want to be very brief and welcome you back to Cambridge, where it all began. I am so proud of our city and so proud of all of you. And I'm just so honored to be the mayor at the time that this is happening. The elected officials here, our Vice Mayor Denise Simmons, Mark McGovern of the school committee, we are all very proud of you. And I think that this is a time when we talk about marriage equality, but we also talk about human equality. And Erin Stone told me this is what we really need to be thinking about. It's about being equally human. And I want to just thank you for bringing that concept to us, for honoring us here in Cambridge with your presence today and your presence on Marriage Equality Day, and come back again next year when we'll be celebrating 10 years of marriage equality in Cambridge. Congratulations!
Today without political allies like the one who just spoke, who have championed the needs of the LGBT community for decades. One of our movement's leading champions here in Massachusetts, and by virtue of being a leading champion here in Massachusetts, a leading champion in the country, is our Attorney General, Martha Coakley. Marriage equality. In 2009, her office sued the federal government, asking the federal government to strike down DOMA because she believed that it was unfair, rightly believed that it was unfair that DOMA forced her and the Massachusetts government to treat married same-sex couples differently than married opposite-sex couples. And it was historic when she filed that lawsuit. But that's not all she's done. She is the chair of our bullying commission. She has testified in support of protections for LGBT youth. She has testified in support of protections for transgender people. She is one of the leading advocates right now fighting for public accommodations protections for transgender people. She is, and her office is, the definition of a champion on LGBT issues. Behind every good woman is a good woman. And I remember at the ceremonial signing of the Transgender Equal Rights Bill, when the Attorney General, after the signing was over and she'd gotten her signing pen from the governor, she turned to one of her staffers, Maura Healey, and she handed her the pen very quietly and said, "This belongs to you." And I thought that was not only a sign of amazing leadership by the Attorney General, but it's also an amazing sign and an indication of the kind of leadership that comes out of her office. And so I want to welcome to the mic today Maura Healey, the Chief of Public Protection, the Chief of the Public Protection and Advocacy Bureau in the AG's office, to say a few remarks on behalf of the AG's office.
Attorney General in the office and now Chief of our Civil Rights Division. And together, he and I had the pleasure and the privilege of representing the good people of the Commonwealth in the Attorney General's suit challenging the Defense of Marriage Act. So thank you so much for having us here today. And for me, all I can think back is to the stroke of midnight, May 17th, and I stood right about there, sir. Oh, I know Neil. I stood where you were, Neil, and watched as the first couples came down the steps here. And to think about all that has transpired since, and all that was set in motion by our wonderful friends at GLAAD and the vigorous fight they fought in Goodrich. And credit to them, and credit to the plaintiffs, the brave plaintiffs who stepped forward to put themselves and their families out there. I remember all of that. And the fights that were waged building up to that. Folks like Arlene Isaacson, who are here, and all of the wonderful members of the coalition from Mass Equality and the Mass Gay Lesbian Political Caucus and beyond, the ACLU, we're just a little slice in what has been a tremendous journey, and it is so fulfilling as a citizen and as a gay person and as a lawyer on behalf of the state to be here today and know all that has transpired. Thanks to so much of the good work of all of you out there in talking to people and telling your stories and living your lives and then making it real to the court why today was not only necessary and a moral imperative, but absolutely where this nation is headed. So I am so happy to be here today, and we send our greetings on behalf of the Attorney General who wanted to be here today and celebrate with all of you. But thank you, and I'd like to turn it now over to John, who really deserves all the credit for the great work done on behalf of our case in DOMA.
Thanks, Maura. Today is truly a great day for the country, for civil rights, for the Constitution, and for Massachusetts, because Massachusetts is where this all started. Massachusetts was the first state to have marriage equality. Massachusetts was the first state to have serious DOMA challenges that led to a district court and then a court of appeals striking it down, saying for the first time that there was no justification for this law, laying the groundwork for the decision we saw today, the decision that said what we've always known to be true, that a marriage is a marriage. There's no such thing as second-class marriages. There's no such thing as married for state purposes, but not for federal purposes. A marriage is a marriage. And the Supreme Court made that clear today. And I think we can all feel the momentum from the decisions. These were two good outcomes from two very important cases, and the momentum is on our side. We have now 30% of the nation's population living in marriage equality states, but the fight continues, and we're going to join you and continue in that fight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maura and Jonathan. Like our Commonwealth, Cambridge prides itself on being a city of firsts. I'm just going to have to shout. How's that? So Cambridge prides itself on being a city of firsts. It is the first and only city currently in the country that compensates its municipal employees for the federal taxes levied on domestic partner health benefits. It's also the first city in the United States to elect an openly lesbian African-American mayor. Come on up and talk to us.
It is a great day today. Now, Cara, I want to put this out of the way, because I stand here on your shoulders. It's because of you standing together that this day and all the other days of equality belong to us. I remember May 16th standing out here with my good friends Marsha and Sue, as they regarded this as their bedroom. On May 16th, on the stairs, waiting for the doors of City Hall to open for licenses to be issued to over 200 couples. We made history today in Massachusetts, in Cambridge, and today we made history with the SJC. There's an old saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and that first step was 9 years ago in 2004. And you know those other people, the West, you know those people, they were across the street. We took a momentous first step towards equality. That year, some painful, needless artificial barriers were rolled away. On that 17th, May 17th, it was like New Year's. I felt like it was our own emancipation, because not only was a yoke taken from around our neck, we worked in that process of freeing ourselves from the tyranny of second-class citizenship. And we experienced that unfolding together. I am so proud, in fact, that Cambridge made the decision to open its doors the very minute of 12 midnight. You see, separate but equal didn't work in the 1950s, and it doesn't work now. And for the first time, a legal authority was willing to stand up and say the ban on same-sex marriage is wrong. I don't want to bring us too far down, but I think they also had a bit of a bipolar moment. Because you know what they did on the Voting Rights Act. And we have to stand, that's right, we have to stand together. Because if anyone is being treated unjustly, then everyone is being treated unjustly. So let's celebrate this victory. Let's celebrate this victory, but let us not forget that we still have a long way to go. But we'll celebrate. And I have to share with you one of my favorite quotes by Marion Wright Edelman, and the first African-American woman admitted to the Mississippi State Bar, who once said, "If you don't like the way the world is, then change it." You have an obligation to change it, one step at a time. Massachusetts was but one step on a long journey toward total equality, but it was the first step, and it was a momentous step, and look where it has brought us. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for walking together. I want to thank my colleague Alice Turkel from the school committee for standing up, and my fellow colleague on the city council, Craig Kelly, for standing up, and Minka Van Busekon for standing up, and for you for standing up, because it's a long journey, but we're on our way together.
Mark McGovern here from the Cambridge School Committee. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Yes, they're honking for us. Make some noise. Another car for equality. So now I want to introduce you to someone who does not need any introduction in this crowd. Somebody who got into politics specifically to champion LGBTQ people and the issues that we face. Someone who launched their political career in 2004 for the purpose of ousting an entrenched 16-year anti-marriage incumbent and won. Someone who has been with us through marriage, has been an advocate on every legislative measure our state house has taken up on LGBTQ issues. We would not have the transgender equal rights law without him, that is for sure. I am ecstatic that he formally launched his congressional campaign this morning. Tim. FYI. We're biased. He will bring these LGBT issues are his priority, and he will bring those priorities to Congress, and that is why we need Carl Shortino in Congress. Carl.
I want to say Happy Pride. Wow. I am going to try to get through this without crying. Don't get me started. You know, we've all been on this journey for a long time. And today, the highest court in this land said we are equal. We are equal. And it shocks me how much those words, when I watched them come across SCOTUS blog this morning, made me want to cry. Because we all know that when we celebrate Pride, and we celebrate our equality here today, that we are all coming from a very different place in our own lives and in our community's history. We're coming from a place where people, and maybe in our own families, certainly in our communities, and absolutely in our very own government, told us, sometimes explicitly and sometimes with violence, that we weren't equal, that we weren't good enough, and that we didn't have the same dignity as our straight peers. So when this court here today affirms our basic human dignity, our basic equality, we say, duh. We say, duh, because we know we're equal. We know we deserve equality, and we will keep fighting until we get it in every state in this country. Now, I want to let you in on a little secret that I don't think I've ever shared publicly. When I was an undergrad, many of you may know Josh Freitas, one of the heroes of our movement. Yes. Josh Freitas came to Tufts University where I was a wee undergrad, and he talked about this crazy radical idea that was spawned in Hawaii in 1996, just a year earlier, that we might actually deserve the right to marry the person we love in full equality. What a radical idea this seemed to me. So being a crazy young undergrad, what did I do? I organized a Freedom to Marry Day event that year on campus. But the secret I haven't shared with anybody is we kind of did it as a joke. we didn't really think that in my own lifetime this was a victory we would actually see come to fruition. Really, truly didn't. And that was not so long ago. So when I think about what happened in today's court decision, and I think about what you all did in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, and 2007, fighting for marriage equality here, you started a movement. You started a movement that we will keep fighting until we win everywhere. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. In closing, I want to say one more thing, which is this. This October, I will marry my partner. And I can almost say that without crying now too, almost. We're going to get married at the Old South Meeting House, where many of us celebrated the day of the Goodrich Court decision. And I want to say, for all the naysayers about all the bad things that would happen if we legalized marriage, for me to stand in front of my friends and my family and say I do, I say to all those naysayers, tough luck. We're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep winning. And all you've seen is love and happiness and fairness. So thank you all for being a part of this movement.
Oh, look at you all. There's like a sea of rainbows. After all that we've been through, what is a little rain, people? Come on. In a picture seen around the world, published in literally thousands of publications around the world, was an ecstatic couple rushing right down these steps from Cambridge City Hall, having just submitted the first legal application for a same-sex marriage. And I know that the other night with the Bruins loss, it was a big disappointment to the people I'm about to introduce, but I'm hoping that today made up for it. Health advocates, labor advocates, hockey moms, a former board member of Mass Equality, I give you Marcia Hams and Susan Shepard, the first couple to file a legal application for a marriage license in the United States.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here. You know, this is exactly the way it was 24 hours before these doors opened, because we were out here under this little awning in the rain with Sue Hyde, who got us into this, waiting to be able to get our license in Cambridge. And as the day wore on, 10,000 people were here by the end of the night. Hundreds of couples to get their licenses, and thousands of people to celebrate with all of us here in Cambridge. I'll never forget that day. And it was to be Cambridge residents and have the city really welcome us and want to be the first city to do this after the many years that they had passed domestic partnership and many other innovations for GBLTP people. And then we were the first City Hall to open our doors. And we want to thank everyone in the city of Cambridge. This was all decorated. I mean, what an incredible welcome. So we are so grateful to everyone here, and really feel still this incredible wonder that our marriage and our families now recognized not only by the state of Massachusetts, but now by the highest court in the land and by the federal government. It's been an incredible decade that all of us have gone through. And Susan and I, our son Peter, we really could never have imagined before the court decision in 2003 here in Massachusetts that we would actually be able to be married. And we included Margaret Marshall's thrilling words on our wedding invitation, as many of you did. And I quote, the Massachusetts Constitution affirms the dignity and equality of all individuals. The right to marry means little if it does not include the right to marry the person of one's choice. There was actually an article in the Globe a couple months ago that more and more heterosexual couples are beginning to use that language and some of the beautiful language from that decision in their marriage vows and in their marriage invitations, because it is so powerful. And in fact, a friend of ours just told us this weekend her daughter's getting married in August, and she really wasn't sure that she wanted to get married or what it was all about. And the fact that she was at our wedding and was so, as part of this celebration, made her go back to read all this stuff about why you get married and why it was such a big deal. And it's made her feel much more affirmed in her marriage as a result of that. We're really grateful, too, to the 7 courageous plaintiffs that brought the case in Massachusetts, and to the plaintiffs in the federal case as well. It took tremendous courage to go through that process for years. And after that, we all built a movement together with Freedom to Marry and GLAAD and Gay and Lesbian Caucus and Mass Equality and ACLU and all the other state and national organizations
that had that early vision to bring the most strategic cases to court, but then to work together on a grassroots movement to defend it, because it took a long time to be sure that we defended our decision here in Massachusetts, and we did that together. And that's the kind of organizing that has been going on in other states that's brought marriage equality to those states and is going to make the difference in bringing it to all 50 states. I want to say a little bit about what this has really meant to us personally. You know, when we first, when the court decision first came down in Massachusetts, Susan and I really sort of looked at each other and said, well, I guess now we can get married. And we hadn't really thought about it as something real. And we kind of realized how much, we never thought we were in the closet. We'd been together 27 years at that point. We had a 23-year-old son. And we never really felt like we were in the closet in a certain way, but we had really suppressed wanting all of the benefits and the community recognition that comes with marriage. You kind of just put it out of your mind, because how could you ever really have that? And, you know, as Carl said, at first even the idea that we could try to win marriage equality just seemed so far-fetched. Of course, the right didn't think it was far-fetched. That's why they passed DOMA. So now we really have had the protections for 9 years in Massachusetts that we deserved, and now we'll have those protections at the federal level. And that means things like, you know, we will not have to pay taxes on our the health insurance that I get from Susan's state health insurance plan. Cambridge took the lead in compensating city employees for that, for those taxes. Now they won't have to do it, so that will be money to Cambridge. My employer, Community Catalyst and Healthcare for All, a nonprofit, had done the same thing, and now they won't have to do that because we'll be able to get those benefits as a matter of right. I'm 66 this year and Susan's 61, and now we can actually plan for our retirement, knowing that we can share our Social Security benefits. We can share our 401k, my 401k plan at work. No, I'm not going to die tomorrow, no. And that we won't face tax penalties if one of us dies and our house is then inherited by the other person. So many benefits like this that accrue because we now have federal protections. So we're really happy for all the other couples that will share this with us. There are many benefits that now are available to people with kids, younger kids, that we never had when Peter was growing up, and we were just really happy that nothing happened when we didn't have those protections. So now you do things like the Earned Income Tax Credit and the Child Tax Credit. So this is really a huge step forward, but we know that we have so much left to do to really guarantee equality in all the states and on every level. And as Denise said, the decision yesterday on the Voting Rights Act was really, really a step backwards and bittersweet. And we're going to need equal voting rights throughout this country in order to establish our rights and the rights of everyone. And so that's something that we want to work on together. When we were here that day talking, when we were here that day all day talking to about 200 reporters, we kept reminding, we hadn't realized this, that we were really thinking about it, that the May 17th was the anniversary of Brown versus Education, the 1954 Brown versus Education decision on school desegregation. And of course, even now, we know that there are so many things that still need to be done around school equality and non-discrimination. So the fight is very long. And we're here to be in it together and with everyone else fighting for equality. So thanks very much.